Now, let me go to the soldering. Someone is waiting, I think. Let me admit them. Soldering. Soldering, most probably you have seen, all of you. If you go to the circuits, the electronic circuits, and if you get into the computer motherboard, the circuit connections will be done by using the soldering wire. Okay, and diodes and all these we are going to assemble on a board. Those will be assembled by using the soldering. And soldering is a process of joining the two similar or dissimilar metals by means of a filler material called solder. And this solder is a alloy of tin and lead, and they have mixed with various proportions based on the application, and their melting point will be varies from 350 to 600 degrees centigrade, even up to 900 degrees sometimes. But for the application, lightweight applications, it will be up to 300 degrees centigrade. Okay, the soldering is, define the soldering. Soldering is a process of joining the two similar or dissimilar metals by means of a filler material called as solder. This solder is an alloy. It is an alloy. This alloy is having the two important components, tin and lead. They have been mixed with various proportions. That proportion you need not to understand, is not required, and those will melt below 450 degrees centigrade. I have given here. You can take even 300 degrees centigrade also, and once they melt, they will flow between the two metals to be joined. Okay, and what preparation you have to do for the soldering? If you want to join the two metals together, the surface of these metals, those we are going to join them together, have to be cleaned. If it's rusted or any dirty or oil is there, it has to be removed, and we are going to lap it with a flux. The flux is one which will be acting like a agent which will increase the flowability of the solder. Okay, the flux is an agent which will increase the flowability of the solder. Even at the very minute crack portions, the solder can flow. If the flux is there, it will be an agent. It is essentially required. Okay, and this is how we are going to do the soldering process. And you can see here, it is called as a soldering gun, and this will be a soldering tip. This will be a soldering tip. Okay, and it will be heated up to it will be heater. Okay, there will be a component called heater inside this, and this heater part will be exposed outside, and here we are going to put a solder. Okay, solder will be put here, and it will be melted at this particular tip, and these two metals will be joined together. Okay, two metals will be joined together. Once again, soldering is a process of joining the two similar or dissimilar metals together by means of a metal or filler material called as solder. The solder is alloy. This alloy is made out of tin and lead. They are mixed in various proportions based on the requirement and applications, and they have the low melting point up to 450 degrees centigrade. Okay, various compositions I am telling. Once they melt, what happens? They will be flowing. They will become liquefied. They will become liquid. In this liquid state, they will be flowing in between the two metals to be joined, and they will be solidified. The solidified in the sense, if you can see that solidification. So once the molten metal is allowed to cool down with respect to the temperature, with respect to the time, and what happens? The liquid metal will be solidified. This is called as a solidification process. This is called as solidification process. Okay, the molten solder which is in a liquid condition, once it allow it to cool down in the normal room temperature. Okay, you should not put the water and all. What happens? Suddenly you are going to cool it down, the cracks will be formed. So always it should be allowed to solidify at normal room temperature. So due to this, what happens? Solely the liquid solder will be, the filler metal will be solidified, and which will make the two joints to be joined together formally. Okay. And as I told you, once what preparation you have to do to go for this soldering. I want to do two pieces to be joined together by means of a soldering. What I'm going to do, we have to just remove the rust or remove the dirty or remove the oil if any present. Then make it clean, keep it clean, then put a flux onto this. The flux is one, it is zinc chloride or the dilute hydrochloric acid or alcoholic resin or some other flux. These are some of the fluxes commonly used in the soldering. Name the flux used in the soldering. Zinc chloride, hydrochloric acid or alcoholic resin. These are the commonly used flux used in the solders. And this flux, what they actually, why they are going to lap on the two metals to be soldered together, the main reason is that which will allow the flowability of the solder material. So the solder material viscosity will be decreased, and so that it will be flowing easily into a narrow depth also, so that these fluxes will be used. Okay. And application, where all we are going to use them? In electronic industries, in sheet metal works, and sealing of metal containers, and these are the some common places wherein we are going to use the soldering. Okay. This is the soldering gun, and this is the insulated with the rubber packing here. The person is going to do the soldering, he can hold here. He can hold here. Anyone have doubt, you can ask me. And the soldering tip, it will be heated up by the heater inside, and